is Baus, your No Average Gamer. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a tragedy. A tragedy being The Last of Us Part 2. And before we get started, this video does contain spoilers, so if you haven't played the game or still playing and haven't finished yet, please click away now if you do not want to be spoiled. This is your final warning.
Get up! Joel,
He
fucking
can't.
get up!
He can't.
Please stop! Please don't do it! Joel, please get up!
Now at the start, I called The Last of Us Part 2 a tragedy. The reason why I call it a tragedy is because it is. It's a story of people that lost, and we see that loss done on multiple sides, and also in ways that we didn't think they would happen, but it did. But let's start from the top. Back in the first game, The Last of Us, with Joel and Ellie. Joel and Ellie were everyone's favorite duo. Joel and Ellie had this father-daughter dynamic that a lot of us were drawn to. And they were brought together in means that, in reality, they probably wouldn't even have a relationship. But we were taken on their journey, and we grew to really feel for them because the characters were presented to us as human as possible in this world that's just so dog eat dog, and all it is just survival, and you would put yourself in their shoes. That's why I think The Last of Us did so well. We were able to relate ourselves to the characters more than most games. And then carrying that story into The Last of Us Part 2, the people that we were waiting to meet again changed. When The Last of Us leaks came out, we were presented with a storyline that we would never thought that our characters would embark or would have to go through. I myself didn't see any leaks or spoilers. I was completely not spoiled in any way, shape, or form. I did see the official trailers that either Naughty Dog posted on their YouTube or Sony posted on their PlayStation page. But besides that, I went into The Last of Us 2 with fresh eyes. But I did hear what was going on. And everybody was angry. Everybody was angry to the point where people started to harass the actors and Naughty Dog and the maker and stuff like that online. And I just want to start by saying, don't do that. Come on, guys. Let's try to be humane, okay? Even though we don't agree or we don't need to act like savages, okay? Even though there's a pandemic, we're not in The Last of Us, okay? Let's take it down a notch. But yeah, everybody was really hurt. But the one thing that kept me going was that I don't know the whole story. None of us knew the whole story. People who just couldn't help themselves to spoil it and see the end and get mad. You don't know the whole story. And I believe in The Last of Us Part 2, there was an experience, a story that they wanted to tell with these characters, because from the first game, we took it as that Joel, Ellie, everyone, they were ours. These were our people. These were our favorite characters that belonged to us. But in reality, as far as from how it translated to me, these characters were never ours, and their story can go any way possible, because the grand story is the world of The Last of Us. We were brought into the world of The Last of Us through the eyes of Ellie and Joel in their perspective. But we never had an idea of this world through a larger scale. And that's what The Last of Us Part 2 brought. So it starts us off with Joel explaining to his brother Tommy of what happened in Seattle when the Fireflies took Ellie and they were going to remove the immunity growth in her brain that would kill her in order to create a cure. And Joel did everything in his power to stop them, because he was not going to lose Ellie after everything they've been through, and also from his previous loss of his daughter. Even though for the greater good, it was the wrong choice on the smaller scale, the most personal scale, I would do that in that moment. Choice. So after that, after he told his brother, they go off from their, I guess they were doing like a run where they were clearing out infected, and they go back to their settlement in Jacksonville. I believe it's Jacksonville. And that's where everything starts off. I just want to take a note that when they got back and he sang that song to Ellie, where he says, "If I were to lose you, I would surely lose myself." I didn't realize that from that moment, that was the whole foreshadowing of this entire game. So I'm going to take a pause and talk about the character Abby. Abby, the way she was introduced, I don't think it was wrong. Because we knew since the first game that Joel was that character, that person who made a lot of bad choices. Choices that Tommy was angry at him for, and things that they had to endure in this world. Things that scarred them for the rest of their lives. So those choices was coming back for them. And those choices were in the form of Abby and her group. Now, I will admit, I did not like Abby only because of it was kind of jarring to have to play someone else than the characters that I wanted to play for so long. That's the kind of headspace I was in, because I streamed the game. I even said in my live stream that, oh, I hate, Abby, nobody likes you, yada yada. But I stayed open-minded. This is something that it's just so good. I knew that they were going to make me take this journey on her side, on Abby's side, to sympathize with her. And I immediately shut that down. I was like, I'm not sympathizing with her. She's not the one. It's about Ellie and Joel, and that's it. Right? Of course, I'm still open, but that was basically like my emotions of it. So as we see her go through the snow and clearing her way to get to Joel, what I saw happen next was, I saw it coming. I knew that Joel was gonna die. From the trailers, they hinted at it, that Joel was not there anymore. I knew he was gonna die, and I've always said this, I'm fine with characters dying, characters that I relate to a lot, characters that I have an emotional connection to. I'm fine with those with them dying as long as they died in a good way. A way that makes sense, a way that's, plausible, respectful, all that stuff. Not just killing them off for no reason. That's like the worst thing that you could ever do. And I don't think that's what Naughty Dog did here. At first it seemed like that. Joel, Abby, and Tommy find each other in the snow, being chased by a bunch of infected. And then they run into some places of cover, helping each other out to survive. But little did they know was that they were running into a trap. So they follow Abby to where she's being held up in the mansion, and that's when everything goes wrong. They shoot him in the leg. They beat up Tommy, knock him out, and then they have their way with Joel. And then the game throws you back on Ellie. After she figures out that they're missing and she has to find them, and then it all leads up to the part that will stay in your mind. Joel dying. Seeing Joel beaten, shot to a bloody pulp on the floor. The guy that we saw strong, resourceful, looks like he could take on the world and no one can touch him, was lying there, defeated. Ellie screaming and crying, telling Joel to get up, to get up, was the same thing of how I felt. I wanted Joel to get up. I wanted Joel to suck it up and walk on his shot leg and just wipe the floor with everybody. That's what him and Ellie were supposed to take everyone out at that moment. Joel was supposed to get the strength to do that. But that was not gonna happen. So they kill him. Abby takes a golf club and hits him with the finishing blow.
Please get up.
And they knock out Ellie. And that's when our story really starts of The Last of Us Part 2. So this is now a revenge story. You're filled with rage and you're upset and you just want to take every single one of them out. Every person that was in that mansion is going down. That is the mindset that I had going into the game. Our adventure will take us back to Seattle. That's where we get introduced to all the other factions and the world opens up to us. As you play as Ellie, you see that Ellie is not the same Ellie that we knew before. And granted, after being pretty much raised or taught by Joel and Tommy and, the people around her, those people were not ruthless, but they did what they needed to do to get things done. So seeing Ellie with now her arsenal of skills, and she's able to literally take someone's life and not even bat an eye because they took something so dear to her, made sense. A lot of people thought that this wasn't Ellie, this isn't Ellie, this is not the Ellie that I knew, that I loved, that I whatever. This was never your Ellie.
Don't scream. Put that shit down. You remember me? Yeah. You remember me.
She changed. That Ellie was on the instinct of what Joel taught her to do. And let's not forget, Ellie was never a soft, little, helpless girl. She shot someone in The Last of Us Part 1. She stabbed people. She did things. She saw things. She witnessed things. She knew death. And she was no stranger to it. She's a product of this world. And after being taken in by Joel, those instincts came out of her. So it wasn't jarring to me at all to see Ellie do these things. So she goes on this journey with Dina. They're taking out whoever's in their way. They're dealing with the wolves and the scars, or the Ferricides, but I'm just gonna call them the scars.
Yara! Where is the other apostate? Clip her wings.
These two new factions that are trying to control over Seattle for their resources. And Ellie's just fighting her way through to get to the people that she needs to get to avenge Joel. So as she's doing that and we see her get each person, I noticed that they were not taken out like bosses in other games. Naughty Dog decided to go on the approach of having it done in cutscenes. And some cutscenes you can engage with it through pressing the square or triangle button to like use the knife and stuff like that. If you take a step back and look at it, they were showing you how it would be done in a human way. It wouldn't take, you wouldn't be fighting someone with a health bar. You would be fighting someone for a few minutes max, and then someone dies, and that's what happened. They took down who they needed to take down, and the story continued. There was no epic or grandeur way of taking them down. You just took them down. And I liked that. It made a lot of sense, and it kept me very immersed in what I was playing. So we slowly see how Ellie continues down this path to get these people. And from that, when she went to get one of the members, chasing her down the building all the way until they went underground to where there was a huge exposure to the spores. And of course, Ellie's immune, and the other girl, she wasn't. Even though Ellie could have just let her slowly become an infected, she wanted answers, and she took the time to beat it out of her. Ellie just kept going down this path of no return. So fast forwarding a little bit, we get everyone. We now make it to the last two. I forget their names, but it's this guy and his girlfriend who's pregnant. And Ellie gets there just trying to find out where Abby is. And of course, things don't go her way, and they were taken down. I'm not going to say the specifics because of YouTube guidelines and whatnot, but she gets them both. And one of them really showed how dark this world is. And from there, we get closer to the final showdown. And we see how much Ellie has lost herself doing this, trying to get revenge. And it really makes you think, was it worth it? Yes, Joel died, and that upsets you, but like, it makes you think as yourself, like, would you actually do this? Would you go this far? Like, you yourself, would you go that far to get revenge? So, Ellie, Dina had a hideout, a theater, and they had some power, and they reunite with Tommy and Jesse. Jesse's a part of their little gang. There's like this whole love triangle, but I'm not going to get into that because that's not important. As they're all planning to leave, because they didn't get Abby. Abby wasn't there. And Ellie has done enough. But Abby breaks in. They hear her break in, and Jesse and Ellie bust through the doors, and instantly Jesse gets shot in the face. Abby's on top of Tommy, makes Ellie throw away her gun, and you're just left with what's next. What's gonna happen now? Ellie doesn't have a gun. She doesn't have a weapon. This is bad. Yada yada. Jesse's dead. Tommy is hurt. So much is happening. Before the scene cuts, Abby says, "You killed all my friends." And you think, who cares? You know, like, screw your friends. You killed Joel. Come on. Just get to stepping. But then the scene changes, and then we start going through Abby's storyline. We go through her life, and we see, and I have to say this because it's true, I was very, very impressed and kind of excited and glad to see the world of The Last of Us through someone else's eyes. Like, Abby was almost opposite to Ellie. Her settlement was in a stadium, and the way that they were able to colonize it and to make it their home and militarize it in a way also was truly amazing. Of how, like, you know, you look at how things are now and how things could be in a world like this. It's just pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. I even make a comment on my stream like I would love to read a book about this, like to learn more about the Last of Us world. So we start going through her storyline, and we get reintroduced to all the characters that Ellie took down. And we see them in this other light. And even though my reaction should have been to hate them and to not even give them the time of day, but what happened was spending time with them and seeing where they all come from and why they did what they did worked. You could take that as however you'd like, but we all have a right to our opinions. I continued to see what I guess Naughty Dog wanted to tell here. So the reason why Abby did what she did is because back in the hospital where they were going to kill Ellie to get the thing out of her brain to create a cure, those doctors in the room for surgery, the people that Joel takes down was her father. And then you learn about him. Seeing everything on the other side just makes you question, and it makes you question hard. Because it wasn't like, even when, what's her name? Oh, shoot, I forgot her name. But the Firefly lady in the first game, it looked like they were just going to kill Ellie and that was it because they had to save the world and blah, blah, blah. Like they disregarded Ellie. But you see a scene where she's talking to Abby's father, the surgeon, and how she has been through so much. And they've both been through so much. This world has taken so much from them. The one thing to make it all worth it is right there. Right there in front of them. All the sacrifice, all the people who died, everything was about to be worth it for them. But the Firefly lady even said, if it was your own daughter, if it was Abby, would you do it? Because I believe that she's been with Ellie since birth. She was friends with her mom and stuff like that, so I can see why she asked that question. But she swallowed her feelings to not do this. And then she told him to do it. It was hard to hear, and I understand where they're coming from. Honestly, I understand. I think your choices matter, and I guess since they didn't even ask Ellie if she wanted to do this, but you know, they were just so like, they just wanted this world, that world they were living in, to be done. They wanted things to go back to normal. They didn't want to see loss to everything around them anymore. But of course, there was also the thing of, would there even be a cure and stuff like that. So when Joel saved Ellie, and that last scene where Ellie goes, tell me, promise me everything you said about the Fireflies is true, and yada yada. And Joel lied to her face because he wasn't going to lose her. And it was something that he can live with because he's an adult. He's able to make these tough decisions even if it makes her hate him. Lies to her face and said everything is true. And we were left thinking that Ellie took that at face value and to never question it again. Because that's just what their relationship was about. Trust above all else. But Ellie is also a person who's lost, who's seen loss, and could wish that she could do something about it. And she learns that Joel lied. It hurt their relationship. She was very mad. She didn't want to be under his wing anymore. And we go back to Abby. We learn what she's going through. She's a soldier. She made herself strong. She made herself strong to be able to take the man who took her father away. And she also wanted to be able to handle herself and to protect people around her. And as she's going through this path, the little boyfriend of hers does something stupid and she has to go get him. And we learn that he's a free spirit, very similar to her father. And during that journey, bro, oh my gosh, Abby goes through so much. Her path made her go against her settlement and deal with the enemy. Not completely, but two kids, to have them trust her because they were like, it was a weird storyline, but it just showed that it was a way of guilt on her because she fell into their hands. They had to help each other. Like these two kids were scars. They were running away from the scars. She was running away from the scars and her own people because she didn't want to lose anyone else. Nobody wants to lose anything in this world. And they create this bond, and then they talk about going places and everything, and it just goes downhill. And Abby goes through some traumatic stuff. As this is all happening with Abby, Ellie is taking out her friends in the background. We're taken back to that moment when Abby broke in, pointing the gun at Ellie. And there, the collision, the conflict that we've been waiting for happened. It happens. But surprisingly, you do it from Abby's perspective. You do all of that from when you switch to Abby and going all the way down that path, you still do it when you fight Ellie. And I'm gonna say this because it's true. Fighting Ellie was a pain. Oh my goodness! Like Naughty Dog really, Naughty Dog really wanted you to get pissed at Ellie. Like they really wanted you to get mad at this character that you've been rooting for and stuff like that. At this point, all that talk of how this Ellie person was not the same person from the game, was not the person that you think she is, and seeing everything from Abby's perspective once again worked. I got mad at Ellie. I was so mad at what she was doing. I'm not saying what she was doing was wrong. In fact, there is no right or wrong here for these two people. It's just about not losing anymore. Not losing anyone anymore and getting back at anybody who does that. Now, whether that's right or wrong, I guess is subjective. And I guess it depends who you're asking. So they have this collision and you're fighting as Abby and you do some serious damage, but at the same time, Ellie holds her own, but objectively, she doesn't win the fight. Abby lets her go because of the Scar a kid that's with her. Lev is doing nothing.
See you again. Come on.
I believe at this point there's a time jump and we see Ellie a little older. Dina has the baby. Dina was talking about during the game of like they should just run away, find like get some land, make a farm with sheep, and you know, this little fantasy. It happened. It's true. They did it, and there's this moment where Ellie takes the child and she goes out to the tractor and she's looking at this beautiful scenery. Like this game has so many beautiful scenes. And that's when my chat was telling me, no, yeah, my friend Zonk, who was in my chat, was telling me, stop the game now, because he like that. This is where we start entering the spoiler territory. Stop the game now because it's not going to be happy. And he was right, because as you continue, you learn that Ellie isn't at peace. Of course, she has severe PTSD. She dreams of Joel. She has flashbacks of what she said to him when she found out the truth, and she remembers what he did for her. The next day, Tommy comes, but he is messed up. They came to visit, and you could tell that there's some tension after what happened. Of course, they lost Jesse, and they lost the whole battle. They didn't get the revenge that they set out to get. He tries to convince Ellie to go one more time because he heard where Abby is and they have to go get her. There was a promise that Ellie said to him and he can't let it go and it has to happen. And surprisingly, as I'm sitting there after everything that I've been through, because this was a long game and seeing both sides, and I did not want Ellie to go. I didn't want Ellie to go. I was like, no. I was like, Tommy, get out. You're doing the most. You're asking too much of Ellie. Like, look at her. She's happy. But he throws it in her face. He throws it in my face too, saying that, oh, you're just going to sit here and live it up all happy while he's dead. Like, shoot, man. Wow. He leaves the map on the table of where she is. You know, that thing that everyone does. They leave it there, and then now you really can't sleep. Now you really can't eat, because now it's eating at your conscience and you have to go. You're so guilty. And that's what Ellie does. She wakes up in the middle of the night trying to sneak out. Dina finds her and says, you know, come back to bed. And Ellie can't. She has to finish this. But Dina, now that she has a child, she's not going to go through this again. Which is fine. Like, I didn't expect Dina to go with Ellie and do this all over. But she warned Ellie. And Ellie just left. So Ellie leaves, and we see Abby at the location. It's Santa Barbara. They go to find the Fireflies, because that's what Abby's boyfriend, whatever, wanted to go to escape everything and to find, I don't know, because, you know, like the Fireflies are always like these people of like hope and stuff like that. So, and they get ambushed. What is happening? And by these guys, I don't even know what's their deal. So that's that. They get taken. And Ellie's right there. Ellie gets caught in a trap and she gets hit on her side. And I figured out why they did that immediately. It's to weaken her when she meets Abby again. But at this point we don't know how long it's been since Ellie has got to Santa Barbara and she's on their trail. So we go through this island and we start running through these people who I don't even know what they're doing, but they're not great. Eventually we make it to Abby and we're on the shore of the beach and they're tied up on these poles. Basically, I guess they're left there to just dry up and die, or some sort of torture punishment thing. And we find Abby and I was surprised of how quickly I found her, being able to recognize her, because you have to walk through this of just people being hung, and then you find Abby and looks like she hasn't eaten in days. She's skinnier. She still has muscle, but she's definitely skinnier. She doesn't look like herself. They cut her hair. Ellie cuts her down. And then they make their way to these boats that are on the shore to leave. Internally, I'm just like let her go. It's not worth it. Not right now. It's not worth it, Ellie. Just let her go. But Ellie doesn't let her go.
I can't let you leave.
And Ellie, like, without saying much, tells her, like, we're gonna have this. And then Abby's like, I'm not doing this right now. Like, Abby, compared to Ellie, lost everything. All she has is this scar boy who's been on the enemy faction, that's been against her faction for who knows how long. That's all she has left. But we make the final fight. They fight in the water. You could tell this is an exhausted, like, this is just sad. It's not even epic. It's not even like, yeah, get her, we're getting her. It's just sad. It's sad, it's pathetic, but it's necessary. It had to happen. Ellie's fighting with her knife, gets a good hits in, and you're playing as Ellie for this fight. You stab her in the shoulder, and then Ellie gets on top of Abby in the water and starts strangling her. She starts doing this. She's trying to make it all happen. She's trying to make all this journey, all this fight, all this sacrifice, all this loss, everything matter at this moment to get Abby. This is her chance to get Abby. And she can't do it. She lets her go. She lets her go. And she's crying, she's sad, because she just can't do it for some reason. She can't. And then Abby gets in the boat with her kid and sail away. Ellie goes home, and you know immediately Dina left. You don't hear the sheep when you walk through. I think their tree that they had outside was withered, and the house is empty. So Dina took everything except Ellie's stuff. She left all her stuff there, and she left her guitar. And throughout the game, there's like this little mini game that happens when you can play the guitar, and then when you successfully hit all the strums, Ellie or Joel would play a song. You see how she has those missing fingers, and she's trying to play, and she can't anymore. And then you're reminded,
I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Everything I have found here, I'm not found by myself. Try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. All my stolen missing parts, I've no need for any more. 'Cause I believe, and I believe, 'cause I can see our future days, days of you and me.
So all in all, the image of Ellie not having her fingers was so telling. How far would you go? I enjoyed The Last of Us. I thought it was really good. The story was very well told. You get taken on this roller coaster of emotions and seeing things from a lens you wouldn't have expected to see, and it really makes you think about a lot of things. I feel really bad for Naughty Dog on the leak that stole this story away from them, from so many fans that I think a lot of people would have appreciated. I'm not saying like that everybody would love it, but I feel like the backlash wouldn't have been so severe because it was a really good story. It was a long story, but it was a good story. And after I had to take a few days, well, a few weeks to collect my thoughts in order to create this video, because the story that was going to be told, Naughty Dog was going to tell it, and they told it well. And you learn how everything just easily changes for these people. The characters that we thought we knew changed so much, and they were put through it. They were really put through it. If you guys want to see me playing The Last of Us Part 2, I do have a Let's Play that I'm uploading from my live streams. I have a playlist right over here, over there, whatever, it'll pop up. Comments, questions, please leave them down below. Please tell me what you guys thought about The Last of Us. Do you agree with what I said, or maybe not, and that's okay. And if you want me to talk about any other aspects of the game, I'll be happy to do so, so just let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.